The Enigma of the Locked Room, a case that defied logic. The village of Eldridge was a quiet place, the kind where nothing much ever happened. That was until Henry Whitaker, a renowned writer of mystery novels, was found dead in his study. The discovery sent shockwaves through the small community, not just because of Henry's unexpected death, but because of the bizarre circumstances surrounding it. Henry's study was locked from the inside. There were no signs of forced entry, no evidence of a struggle, and the only window was bolted shut. The key to the room was found in Henry's pocket, and his body lay slumped over his desk, a look of shock frozen on his face. The only clue was a cryptic note on the desk that read, "It's not what it seems." Detective Laura Mason was called to the scene. Known for her sharp mind and unconventional methods, she was the village's best hope for solving the mystery. As she entered the study, she felt a chill in the air. The room was unnaturally cold, and the silence was almost oppressive. Laura scanned the room, taking in every detail, every shadow, every mark on the floor. Nothing seemed out of place, yet everything felt wrong. Laura began by examining Henry's life. He was a man of many secrets, it seemed. She discovered that he had recently had a falling out with his publisher over a mysterious manuscript he was working on. According to the publisher, Henry had become obsessed with the story, refusing to share any details and working on it day and night. Then there were the letters, strange, threatening notes that Henry had received in the days leading up to his death. The handwriting was unfamiliar, and the messages were cryptic, filled with warnings to stop what he was doing. The more Laura dug, the more she realized that Henry had no shortage of enemies. There was a jealous rival, another writer who had always been in Henry's shadow. There was a disgruntled family member who believed Henry owed him money. And then there was an enigmatic former lover, a woman who had disappeared from Henry's life years ago but had recently resurfaced. Each had a motive, but none had the opportunity. The locked room seemed to be an impenetrable mystery. Days turned into weeks as Laura combed through every piece of evidence, every scrap of paper in Henry's study. She interviewed everyone who had known Henry, from his closest friends to his most distant acquaintances. But no one knew anything about the mysterious manuscript, and no one had seen or heard anything on the night of his death. Laura was starting to feel like she was chasing shadows. The case was beginning to take a toll on her. She found herself thinking about it at all hours, waking up in the middle of the night with new theories, only to have them crumble under scrutiny. The villagers were growing restless, whispering about curses and ghosts, about how Henry's death was a punishment for delving too deeply into things best left alone. Then one night, as Laura sat in her office, she had a realization. Henry's novels were always about unsolved mysteries, about puzzles that seemed impossible to crack, but always had a logical solution in the end. What if this was his final puzzle? What if Henry had designed his own death to be the ultimate mystery? Laura rushed back to Henry's house, her mind racing. She went straight to the study and began to search for something, anything she might have missed. And then she saw it. A small, almost invisible latch on the inside of the window frame. It was a mechanism that could be locked and unlocked from the outside with a thin wire or a piece of string. Excited, she tested the theory and discovered that with the right tool, it was possible to lock the window from outside, making it appear as though it had been bolted shut from within. Henry had staged the scene to look like an impossible crime. But why? As Laura pieced it together, she realized the answer lay in the manuscript. Henry's last book wasn't just another mystery novel. It was a confession. He had been involved in a terrible crime years earlier, something he had kept secret his entire life. The guilt had eaten away at him, and he had decided to confess in the only way he knew how, by writing it into his story. But as he worked, the fear of exposure had overwhelmed him. He knew that if the manuscript was published, his reputation would be destroyed, and his life's work would be tainted. In a twisted act of penance, he had decided to end his life, turning his death into a final mystery, a last unsolvable puzzle for someone else to unravel. The cryptic note on his desk, "It's not what it seems," had been his final clue, a hint that the answer wasn't in the room, but in the story. Laura couldn't help but feel a strange mix of sadness and admiration for Henry's dark genius. He had turned his death into his greatest work, a mystery that would live on in infamy. Laura left the study, closing the door behind her. The village of Eldridge would never forget Henry Whitaker, the writer who had made his life and his death a puzzle that defied all logic. If you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.